Hey, welcome back to RC Model Reviews, and today I have a problem because the nice people at GEPRC sent me this box, and in this box there is the Mark V, see, it says there Mark V, and I've taken it out of the box because we don't do unboxings here, so this is what it looks like. It's a quadcopter. You see my problem? My problem is that quadcopter reviews are a bit boring. Everybody, when they review quadcopters, quadcopter, flippity floppity, affiliate link in the description. We don't do that here. I wanted to come up with a way to make this review a little more interesting, a little more exciting than would otherwise be the case. Now, the first problem I had was I didn't have any batteries. This comes in a 4S and a 6S version. GEPRC sent me the 6S version and I didn't have any 6S batteries, so I had to wait a while. And fortunately, the guys at Kiwi Quads, Ollie at Kiwi Quads, fixed me up with some China Hobby Line batteries. I bought them paid full retail, but fantastic service. Just have a shout out where it's due. I ordered these on, I think on a Thursday afternoon, and they arrived on Friday morning. That's great. So batteries, I had a couple of batteries, and then I thought, how am I going to review this thing? And I'm going to go through stuff on the bench. Obviously, we've got to talk about stuff that you would find and the way it's built and so forth. But I wanted to come up with another way to really put this thing through its paces in a way that other reviewers haven't done. And so I figured, hey, let's chase a jet with it. Let's race this against a gas turbine powered fixed wing model and see if it can keep up.
We won't say parasite,
no. Let's just put it on the table because the bench is at the airfield and I'm at home at the moment. So let's put it on the table and I'll tell you a few bits and pieces about the quad, what I like, what I don't like. Then we'll go racing. Now, as you can see, it's a fairly conventional sort of a quad. This one is several versions. This one has the DJI air unit installed, so it's plug and play. No, it's bind and fly, really. It's bind and fly. So I flew it with the DJI transmitter and goggles. We all know about the digital system, won't go on about that. But basically it is a quad with individual arms, so you can replace the arms if/when you break them. They're pretty damn thick. What's that, 6 mils? 6 mils thick? That's heaps thick. They will break if you hit stuff hard enough. One thing you notice is the quite abundant use of fluorescent TPU 3D printed parts. The feet on the bottom of each arm are TPU printed, and that fluorescent stuff. There's a little buffer pad down here, and the mounts for the antennas at the back, as well as a camera mount on the front. This here. There's a separate other camera mount with just the one slot provided, so depending on what your camera mounting is, you can swap those over. No real problems. It's a metal front end here. See this metal front, cast metal front end, or is it milled? I can't tell. Probably milled. And the DJI, it's a real DJI camera, so you know what to expect from that. And it provides plenty of protection for that camera. Not total protection. See the lens pokes out a little bit, but considering where the arms and the motors are, you're probably not going to break that camera if you have an accident. Not that we ever have those. Comes with 2 sets of polycarb props. A few battery straps, a little rubber pad you stick on the top here for your battery mounting, and because this is bind and fly, you don't have to worry about putting anything together really. Just screw the props on and away you go. Couldn't wish for better than that. Now, XT60, the flight controller and the flight stack all seem pretty damn good. Seems to fly pretty well. The motors, this is the 6S version, so they're 2107s? 2107. Oh, I don't know. 2107S, and I think they're 1950 kV or something. I don't know. There'll be a list to the spec sheet. Remember, this is just one version. This comes in a number of versions. You can get the 4S version, and you can get analog and digital and Vista and all sorts of things. So you choose what you want. To be totally honest, let me be totally honest, I think the Vista version would be the better one. It'd be a little bit lighter, and I think the difference between Air Unit and Vista in terms of performance is pretty negligible. You can record on the built-in SD card with an Air Unit if you want to do that, but I've found that the goggle recording is actually better than the onboard recording when you're running 50 megabits, because I think the DVR in here only records at 40 megabits a second anyway, so you get a better recording in your goggles than you get from the Air Unit, so why would you bother having an Air Unit when a Vista could be lighter and smaller? Now, one thing that did concern me is the placement of these antennas. They're short antennas, quite low. Once you get your battery pack on here, there's a lot of shielding for those antennas. You know, if you're flying front on, you can't see the antennas. You mean from here, you can't see the antennas very well at all. So that could provide some RSSI issues. I would like to see these longer. One thing I like about Vista is usually with a Vista you have a single antenna and it's on a long stalk, which means it doesn't get shielded by parts of the quad very frequently at all. So that's something really important, I think, as I'd go for the Vista option, but I'm reviewing the air unit option because that's the one they sent me. Now it takes 6S, this one, as I said, 6S. I've used the China Hobby Line 100C 6S 1300 batteries. You'll take 1100, it says up to 1800, I think, but I wouldn't want to put an 1800 on there. Not a 6S, it'd be too heavy. So the 1300 is pretty good mid-ground, I think. Now these batteries are okay, they're a budget battery. I noticed when I was chasing the jet, they sagged quite a bit, pretty quickly fell down to 20 volts, but they stayed there for a while. And I really didn't get a lot of flight time, but just tooling around with this battery, good flight time. At proximity, you're going to get yourself easily 5 or 6 minutes flying proximity. Freestyle, you probably get 4 minutes, 5 minutes, depending on how aggressive you are with your throttle. I had to wind the rates down on this because I'm more shaky. I had to put a bit of expo in because I'm more shaky. But apart from that, it came pretty well tuned, pretty well set up. No complaints there, really. One thing I recommend everybody does with any pre-built is go around and tighten the screws. I could find no sign of Loctite on any of those screws, and they were all a little bit loose. So before you fly any pre-built quad, always check the bolts. And if you want to, add some Loctite, because otherwise they'll fall out. They'll fall out and you'll find your motors come off and the arms get loose. So just do that. It's not unique to GEPRC. I found that in a lot of pre-builts that don't use Loctite and don't really snug the bolts down too tightly. There you go. So that's basically it on the bench. That's what you wanted to know. It comes with a set of spanners and a few other bits and pieces, some documentation, stuff that you will probably not really use very much. I had to put a lot of camera tilt on this to chase the jet, and I should have had more, unfortunately. So that was a mistake I won't make again. I've got, I don't know, running about 45 degrees or 35 degrees on there at the moment. It should have been a lot more, but I still wanted to be able to land without not being able to see the ground. Well, that's enough. Let's go and have a look at the flight. Let's see what happened when I tried to race a jet with the GEPRC Mark 5.
Okay, so here we go. This is the takeoff. I had to actually slow down a bit on the takeoff because I was overtaking the aircraft. I flew out to the side. But let's face it, this is a very fast jet-powered model. So, yeah, no, this quad isn't going to keep up. No quad is going to keep up with this thing, but it did an incredibly credible job of keeping the whole thing in view. Now remember, these videos are only 720p from the air unit on the DJI, recorded on the goggles, so it's a pretty small spec. If you're watching on a phone, you may not be able to see the jet, but notice I catch up in the turn because I cheat, but it is tracking pretty well. I must say I was kind of impressed because this guy was holding back a little bit, but not that much. You'll hear from him at the end of this flight, the guy that was flying the jet, but I was really impressed at how well this flew. Now you could tell I should have had more camera angle because I was getting pretty high. When I wanted to use a lot of throttle, I was actually climbing and I didn't want to do that. So for a fair bit of the video, the quad was quite a bit higher than the jet. Now about here, battery voltage was getting down, about 20 volts. It was sagging quite a bit, which is not a criticism of the China Hobby Line batteries. It's just the fact that this quad's got a lot of power and full throttle for an extended period really does sort of demand a lot of any battery. So there you go, there's the quad flying now down, and again I'm sort of tracking, I'm keeping up reasonably well at this stage, although he just did a roll so he wasn't flying at full speed. And about here I decided I think it's time to give away the chase before I toast my battery. But you got to admit, I think this quad did a very credible job of keeping up. Now, it's not a racing quad, it's not designed for speed, but the performance of the quad really actually kind of impressed me when it just comes to all-out speed. It's probably the fastest quad I have in my collection. So when I'm chasing models at the field, this may be my number one choice. And then, of course, I just scooted across the runway and landed. But yeah, what we'll do now is we'll listen to the pilot of the jet, see what he has to say about that flight, what he thought of this quad.
So you were flying that jet, weren't you?
Yep,
that I just chased?
I was.
And how fast does it fly, do you reckon?
Oh, that's probably in the 250k range, maxed out.
Yeah,
but of course I had to
slow
slow it down to keep Bruce happy there.
Yeah, but what did you think of the speed of the quad?
I've got to admit, that quad can keep up. That is seriously quick.
Yeah. And so what's the aircraft you're flying?
This is a Graham Smithson design thing called a turbatic. It's roughly the same as the aeroplanes known as a reaction series of aeroplanes. This was sort of inspired by the reaction, and Graham Smithson created this one to suit the engines of the day.
Excellent. Well, thank you for helping out with that review. That's
no worries.
Very useful. Thank
Cheers.
you.
Thank you.
Here we go, it's time for the boring bits where an old man tries to fly freestyle and fails abysmally. But that's not the fault of the quad, that's just my lack of skills. I love proximity, so we'll do a bit of proximity here, just whizzing through the trees. Now this is with the RunCam 5 and it's 1440p mode, which is 4:3, which is why you've got a square picture, not a full screen one. But this gives you an idea, it really does move, this little quad. It hikes along. I'm not really pushing hard. I didn't really have enough camera angle on during this flight, but it flies really good. It honks and it'll do rolls, it'll do loops. What more could you wish for? So I'll leave you to enjoy this absolutely abysmal attempt at doing some freestyle and some proximity, and I'll come back to you in a moment, because then the next day I went and flew at the local park where the lighting was much better, because if you look at this, it's pretty dismal. We've got clouds blocking the sun, so we're in a big shadowed area, but the sky itself is very bright. Hard conditions for any camera. Watch and enjoy. So here we are next day at the park, and we're flying now with the RunCam set in 1080p mode, so not so much resolution, but it is a 16:9 image, and I'm just flying around the park. Lovely lighting today, much better than the previous day. This quad is really kind of fun to fly because, look, just chasing these birds, no problem with maneuverability. It actually inspires a bit of confidence. And I should point out that this is probably not a quad that a hardcore freestyler would buy, even though it would fit the bill quite nicely. It's a quad that probably people like me would buy, people who would just want to do some close proximity and pretend they can fly freestyle, because it flies so well, but you don't have to do anything, no tuning, no setup required, just bind it and fly it. And so you're paying a premium for that, but you are getting, I honestly believe, a very good quality quad that flies extremely well. So the fact that you're not seeing any super fantastic freestyle in this review is probably not such a big thing, because I don't think the people who buy this are going to be doing that kind of super fantastic freestyle. They're going to be doing exactly what you see here, which is having a ball through the trees at the local park, or just tooling around, just having a bit of fun. And so this is what you can do if you do that. As I say, I'm my 70th year and I have Parkinson's, and this flies down well for me, so I've got no complaints. Now this has been the RunCam camera so far. I'm going to do a loop here, and in the top I'm changing to the DJI digital system. This is recorded direct from the goggles. This is in the DVR on the goggles, and I think you have to admit that the image quality of DJI is pretty damn good. It is impressive. But one thing I noticed with the DJI, and I've noticed it before, it's just an artifact of the camera and the way the system works, is that the colours are nice and vivid here. See the nice brilliant colours. We're going into a shadowed area and suddenly the colours all wash out. The ground is sort of now kind of tan, it's a brown colour. When I come out of that area, it's still washed out, but suddenly we get to here and bing, it goes bright colours again. I don't know what happens there. I haven't done that in editing. That's just as it came from the camera. It's just, but who cares? Because it looks so damn good anyway. It doesn't really matter. And this thing gives you the confidence to do these low swoopy maneuvers around the trees without even thinking about it. You just feel the digital image plus the way the quad handles just makes it so much fun to do this stuff, getting really low, getting really fast. If you've got the money, I'd say, this is a really good buy if you've got the money. If you don't have the money, well, too bad, but it's not cheap. Look at this, bing, through the gap, no problems at all. And then under the tree, turning under the tree, very low turn, brilliant, felt quite comfortable doing all that. So what I'll do now, and you can do a roll, and what I'll do now is leave you to watch the rest of the video, and I'll come back at the end and give you a little bit of a summary in case you weren't paying attention earlier on.
So here we go, different day, different shirt, and there's the quad run cam on the top there. Summary, what do I think of this quad? Well, I've got to say, I really love it. I've only, well, when I made those flights, they were probably my first half a dozen or so flights, and I've had quite a few more now, and it flies so damn well, it really, really does. And I hate to say it, I really hate to say it, but it might actually wean me off my analog, because it's not just the digital, but it's the combination of this frame, the flight stack, that the whole package is just so nice. And it is my first 6S quad, so maybe that contributes as well, but it is just a fun machine to fly. I'm going to fly the backside off this thing for the next few weeks. I might give you a follow-up video and let you know what I think. But yeah, as I said in during the flight, if you can afford it, I don't think you'd regret buying this thing. It is the nicest quad I now have in my collection. So yeah, good work, GEPRC. I really like the GEPRC stuff. It's really working well for me. And in a recent video, you may have seen, I don't know where I've put it now, I used the GEP Cine Log 30 or 35, whatever it is, to get some footage at our local jet meeting, and it was beautiful. The quad flew really, it's the best Cine quad I've got. So GEPRC have made 2 of my favourite quads now. That's pretty good going. So thank you, GEPRC. I'll put a link in the description to the GEPRC site. You can go and find all the specs and that out for yourself. I'm not here to read, I'm not your mother, I'm not here to read that for you. And if you want to buy this quad, no affiliate link in the description of this video. So go to your favourite reviewer and use their affiliate links. If you want to support another reviewer, go and use their affiliate links. I don't use affiliate links, so go and support someone whose reviews you like. And tell them I sent you. There you go. Thanks for watching, guys. Much appreciated. Thanks to my Patreon supporters. It's because of you that I can be so charitable with my links. And there's no mid-roll ads in my videos. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.